As you move on to the intermediate class, now it's your time to take those basic ranges of motion and put them into a figure eight. So let's start with first inside, top, outside, move all the way across again to the inside, go down, outside, inside, top, outside, inside, bottom. So now as you smooth it out, you have your first figure eight drawn through the air with your wrist. Switch directions, out, inside, outside, downward, inside, outside, upward, and then smooth that out as you move inside, outside, upward, inside, outside, downward, and smooth out your figure eight. Let's move on to the opposite side. Outside, upward, inside, outside, downward, inside. As you smooth out that figure eight, try and keep your hand in place just like you did in the prior program. Switching to the other direction, inside, downward, outside, all the way across, inside, upward, outside. Let's smooth that out. Inside, downward, outside, inside, upward, outside. And smooth out that figure eight. Think of your wrist now divided into two halves. As you lift up, go to the inside, go downward, lift all the way up again, go to the outside and downward. So it's almost like running the accelerator on a motorcycle. You curl down, out, down, and out. Switch to the opposite direction, drop down, go outside, bend, down, go inside, bend. It's a really shallow range of motion, but as you smooth it out, you'll see that the figure eight will give you more and more range of motion on your wrist. Switch to the other side, first up, down, all the way back up, inside, down, all the way up, outside, down, and then smooth out that figure eight. Switch to the other direction, downward first, inside, upward, downward all the way again, outside, upward, and then smooth out that figure eight. You can do these throughout the day without including these in the program whenever you need to work out your wrists. As we combine all of our motion together into one fluid mobility with our arms, we're going to start by moving each joint independently. So lift the shoulder, lift the elbow, lift the wrist. Drop it down, lift the shoulder, elbow, wrist. Shoulder, elbow, wrist. And then let that start to soften so it becomes one wave. The outside, forward, the outside, and forward. Go to the opposite side, lift, 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 relax, lift, 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 relax. Shoulder, elbow, wrist, relax, shoulder, elbow, wrist, and then start to soften that side as well. The outside, forward, the outside, and forward. Next one's a little challenging. Lift your shoulder up to begin. Drop your wrist down, drop your elbow down, drop your shoulder down. Let's do it again. Arm up, wrist, elbow, shoulder. Wrist, elbow, shoulder. Opposite side, lift your arm up, wrist, elbow, shoulder, wrist, elbow, shoulder. Last one, wrist, elbow, shoulder. Now, wrist comes down, elbow comes down, shoulder comes down. Wrist comes down, elbow comes down, shoulder comes down. And start to soften that out as well. You don't need to recruit your hand right now, as long as you're flexing and extending your wrist. Opposite side, make sure that the wave is fluid all the way to your shoulder, not stiff and tight. Make it to the outside. Now, when you put them together, make sure that you're letting that wave of motion carry from one side to the next. Across your body, shoulder, elbow, wrist, shoulder, elbow, wrist, shoulder, elbow, wrist, shoulder, elbow, wrist. When you do the opposite side, drop down. Think of it as swimming, but more three-dimensionally. Do it to the side. Almost like two snakes chasing each other. Back to the other side. And then back in front. And then relax. In the intermediate program with your fingers, we're going to take all of those circles and make them consecutive. So think of it as piling your fingers on one another and then rolling them to the opposite side. I like to think of making an OK symbol and holding an ice cream cone. So as you roll them back and forth, don't just open and close your hand, but roll your hand so that each finger is chasing one another. You'll see that it becomes a lot more fluid as the hand relaxes and that fingers are able to move more independently. On the opposite side, remember handedness is going to have a big play here. As you move from ice cream cone to OK, ice cream cone to OK. If you're left-handed, that's going to be a lot more easy to move, but you're going to find a lot more bound issues in your hand because you use it so much. And relax. As we take those basic ranges of motion into our intermediate program, we're going to make them form one circle. Inward, allow the natural inhale, move to the right side. Collapse and fold, natural exhale. Start coming around to the left side. Lift again, natural inhale. Right side, fold, left side, big reach with your solar plexus. Initially, you're going to have a shallower range of motion and maybe some pain. When you come back to center station, just go shallow through it in the opposite side. So lift, left, pocket and fold, right, lift and get your solar plexus high, left, pocket and fold, and then smooth it out so you're working the entire range of motion of your thoracic vertebra. In the intermediate program, we're going to take those 4 ranges of motions from your basic program and we're going to put them together in one big circle. So let's start by leaning deeply, sinking and rooting. Push forward. Notice you're pushing with one hip to lock out and snap forward. Let that roll and sink to the opposite side. Sit back, deep down. Here's the challenging part, coming out of that seat to push one hip all the way to the side and open it up so that your hips are fully snapped forward. Hip flexors rounded. Sit to the opposite side, all the way back. Push. Walk forward as much as you can without any discomfort. And come back to station. Now let's go backwards. Sit down. Come back to the opposite side. Push that hip forward. Round out that hip before you get the opposite side rounded. Sink down, back. Like you're sitting in a chair. Come forward again, lock, and make sure your hips are coming fully rounded. Open up your hip flexors. Sometimes you're going to feel a release, a pop. It's okay, that's good. One more time. Extend and push. The breathing should be natural and relaxed, not labored. And then come back to center station and you're done.